Chase saw his daughter fall to the floor and quickly ran over. Dottie, are you okay? He squatted down and asked in concern. The angry man towered over both of them. Instantly, the flames of rage burned in Chase's heart. He had just found his daughter miraculously unharmed, only to watch her get shoved to the ground by a stranger. He abruptly stood up from the ground, pointed at Mark, and asked, "Did you just have the nerve to hurt my daughter?" Mark sized him up and narrowed his eyes. "Oh, so you're this girl's dad? No wonder she turned out to be so clueless. Apologize to my daughter now." His tone was cold and didn't allow for any rebuttal. Mark didn't want to hear anything from this man. "Do you even know who I am?" "I don't care who you are," Chase said in a low voice. "Even if you're the Pope, you'd still have to apologize to my daughter now." Mark's blood surged. He had never suffered such a rage before. "You want me to apologize?" He pointed at the flowers on the ground and said, "Do you know how much those cost?" Then he pointed to his clothes. "Do you know how much this suit is worth? If you want me to apologize, that's fine, but you have to compensate me." "Sure." Chase found this kind of person easy to deal with. "Count it out." Mark snorted and immediately said, "These flowers were flown in from Miami. One flower is $14. There were 12 flowers, so that's $170. Then my clothing, custom made, $21,000. Show me $21,170 and I'll apologize immediately." "You know what?" Chase said. "I'll give you 25 grand and apologize to my daughter." At this moment, Mark was stunned. "Buddy," he couldn't help but laugh mockingly. "You think you're so cool, 25,000. Have you ever made that much money in your life?" Seeing that the situation was escalating, Anne came over to help them. "Why don't we just forget about this? It's just water. Your suit will be fine." She wanted to help calm things down. She knew Mark and the temper he had, but she also thought that it was impossible for Chase to have that much money. However, he was determined to prove Mark wrong and didn't take Anne's offer. "No need. What a joke." The man continued to bluster. "Don't you see that Anne here wants to help you get out? If she asked, I'd have to let you and your daughter go. But since you don't know how to appreciate her kindness, I won't let you go so easily. You're gonna compensate me $25,000. If you want to look down on me, fine, I can take it. I don't have to let you bother me. But if you lay a finger in my family, then I'm sorry, we're going to have a problem." Without another word to Mark, Chase picked up the phone and called Tim. On the other end of the line, Tim was still sitting in the car. He knew something had happened from his view on the street. With a respectful attitude, he asked, "What's the matter, Mr. Rothman? Do you know a Mark Carroll?" Tim answered very quickly. "You're talking about the son of Regal Real Estate's Philip Carroll? What's the outlook on Regal?" Chase asked in reply. Tim didn't seem very impressed. "A small company, a total amount of fixed assets is only about $35 million, and the annual liquidity never exceeds $14 million. I want to," he said coldly. "Okay." Tim snapped his fingers. "Give me 10 minutes. "There's more," Chase continued. "What about a dozen orchids from Miami and a suit from—" Let me see what I can do," Tim agreed. "Thanks a million." He hung up the phone. As for Mark, when he heard Chase's words, he was dumbfounded. This person had to be an actor. "Man, I didn't know that you were an expert at bluffing." He couldn't help but laugh. "You're gonna make my dad's company go bankrupt, huh? And also replace my stuff all in 10 minutes. He laughed out loud in derision. "I've never seen such a funny guy in all my life. Anne, could you believe this guy?" Anne's expression was one of disgust as she wasn't anywhere close to laughing. Mark strode on the bakery and sat down in a chair with his legs crossed. "Okay, I'll wait, big shot. Let's see if all that stuff you said comes true." He was certain nothing at all would happen. Those orchids were from Miami. There was no way this guy could magically summon more. 10 minutes? Yeah, right. You want to show off to me? Prove it. It happened about 8 minutes after the incident. At that time, Mark was still sitting, talking with the bakery's first customers. The pedestrians outside the bakery cried out in alarm. "Hey, look over there! What are those trucks doing here?" Amidst the crowd's discussion, the two trucks finally stopped in front of the bakery. At this moment, Tim came down from the cockpit of the head truck and walked over to the bakery's door. "Mr. Rothman, the things you requested are here." Tim was the richest man in the Lauderdale. He would regularly appear in the Wealth Forum and Economic Summit. Everybody recognized him. Witnessing all this, Mark felt his eyes go wide and his mouth open in an O shape. He became a statue. He had seen powerful people before, but he had never seen such an incredible display. But why were they parked in front of the bakery? Could it really have been Chase's request? No, impossible. Mark started to panic a little. He waited for a long moment before he finally managed to stand up from the chair. He walked up to the entrance of the store with his mouth agape. He looked at the two container trucks in front of him and didn't know what to say. His tongue was tied. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Even his father, a billionaire, couldn't have found Miami orchids within 10 minutes. "Didn't you want me to compensate you?" Chase glanced at Mark, then smiled at Tim. "Open the door." Tim nodded and immediately set the driver to do it. The sound of the door opening was extremely loud, and the sight on the other side was shocking. The truck was lined with shelves, and those shelves held pot after pot of orchids. The second truck was densely packed with clothes hangers. Suits filled the truck from the front to the back, denser than a clothing factory. At this moment, Mark felt like a bolt of lightning had struck his head. He immediately lost all his strength and leaned on the truck's door. "You gotta be kidding me!" "This is impossible," he said aloud. Tim explained proudly. "I happen to own the Southern Aerial Flowers Company, and I also preside over our entire Lauderdale presence. As soon as Mr. Rothman gave the order, I sent these things over." "Thank you." Chase nodded gratefully. As for Mark, he was still in shock with everything before his eyes. He had no idea how to deal with the situation. At this time, a white came down the road. A man in his 50s, dressed in rich clothes, jumped out. He had a nervous expression. He was none other than Mark's father, Philip Carroll, chairman of Regal Real Estate. Right now, he wasn't chairman of anything because his company had gone bankrupt. When Mark saw his father coming over, he immediately rushed to his side as if he were a lifeline. "Dad, you have to help me. It's him." He pointed to Chase. He tricked me. He said that he brought these two trucks here. This has to be a prank. Do you know what's going on?" Philip didn't have the time to care about his son's tricks. "It was you, wasn't it, who provoked Tim Sanders?" Philip ran over to Tim and bowed beseechingly. "Mr. Sanders, please reconsider. 10 minutes ago, his Regal Real Estate company was still alive and doing well in the stock market. Within 10 minutes, something happened he couldn't control. The company's value had been reduced to 1,000-fold. 5 minutes later, someone came to his door with a purchase contract and asked him to sign a transfer. Regal Real Estate, originally worth $35 million, was bought by the other party for $35,000. Philip had no way to resist. In the contract, he saw the name of the buyer, Tim Sanders. Now the man was standing right here. The man who had delivered the contract to him had given Philip an explanation why all this was happening. "This is because your son offended my friend."
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.